But hi everyone, thank you for joining us for this session. I'm Ricky Patel, I'm from ThoughtSpot. We're really proud and privileged to have Jay here from Huel, Head of Data. I won't take too much of his thunder away, but Jay will be taking us through how they've taken their sort of philosophy of perfecting product recipes into perfecting their sort of modern data stack. A little bit about me. So I've been in the data space for around 15 years now, predominantly in consulting roles with Informatica and Experian. And I joined ThoughtSpot sort of 2.5, 3 years ago, really to help apply the expertise of what I've learned in the market to this new space, new growing space of self-service analytics. Before we dive into Huel's implementation, which is the real core of the talk here today, just a few words about ThoughtSpot and where we fit into the market. So I'd like to start with the mission statement, right, that our founders set out to solve. So we didn't come in the market to have yet another BI tool, but our founders come from the backgrounds of Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Pinterest, and they saw a huge market shift, right, in terms of how consumer apps like Amazon, Uber, Google are driving productivity through the roof when it comes to our personal lives, but when it comes to our business lives, access to data is a lot more difficult, right? And in some cases impossible unless you've got an army of people supporting the business users to help answer the next set of questions. Now, the reason why this is so hard or why it takes so long is this is typically the value chain for what happens when a question is asked and the business user gets access to the data. So many of you, this loop will probably look familiar. You're going through, if the data isn't available or it's not sliced in a particular way, you're going down to the analyst. If the analyst doesn't have that metric or the data available to calculate that metric, they're going down to the IT and DBAs to go and source and collect the data. So what we're trying to do is create an experience where the business user can answer the question and the next question themselves, and then free up the time from everybody on this value chain so they can bring in more data, they can govern more assets, they can build more standard KPIs, and it really helps accelerate this entire life cycle. So think of ThoughtSpot as the consumer layer or the experience layer on top of the modern data stack. Jay will deep dive into their implementation, but see search and AI as our core differentiation on top of all the data that you're bringing in terms of the stack, so it can be enabled and used by business users. Jay, over to you to give us an overview of your business and what you've done there.
Cool. Thank you, Ricky. It's great to be here today, to be able to speak to you all of how we've built our modern data stack at Huel. Can I get a quick show of hands? Who's heard of Huel before? Okay, who's tried Huel? Okay, about half then, so we've got some work to do. But yeah, this is us, and this is our mission statement. So we want to make nutritionally complete food, which means all essential vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats, fibers, carbs you need in a balanced diet. We're very convenient as well, so these are products that you can see on the screen. Back in 2015, we started with our powdered food. So you put 2 scoops of powder in water and have that as a meal. And since then, we've now got bars, ready-to-drink bottles, and hot and savoury, which includes mac and cheese, bolognese, and madras flavours. And we also have our ready-to-drink bottles available in retail stores. So for those of you that haven't tried, you can just grab one on the go. And it's minimal impact on the animals and the environment. So we're 100% plant-based, which means it's great for the planet and also great for you as well. So there's a bit of an intro for those of you that don't know about Huel. And a few stats: we've sold over 250 million meals in over 90 countries. We've reached 100 million revenue in year 6, and we've won many awards in the food and business award space. So how does data fit into all of this? So back in 2019, when I started, we had a lot of similar problems that many people face before they start building out their data stack. We're pulling data from a source, from various different sources across the business, putting that into Google Sheets and carrying out analysis. This meant it took a lot of time, and there's no single source of truth as everyone's doing it across the business. And when we went to meetings, we take that piece of analysis. If there's questions on top of that, we then have to go away, do further analysis. It really just delayed decision making. So myself and Ollie, who's our CTO, decided to start this journey so we can make quicker data-driven decisions at the company. So I'm going to take you through from where we first started, and that began with Snowflake. That is the core of our data stack, our data warehouse. This is where we wanted to create one source of truth and pull all the data in, carry out the models, and then push that to the rest of the business. To do that, we use Stitch, which is an ETL tool. So at Huel, we use many third parties. We sell on Shopify. We use Facebook and Google Ads. We have Zendesk for customer experience. We use NetSuite for ERP. So we wanted to get all of this data into Snowflake, clean it, and then share that with the rest of the business. And our BI tool was Tableau at the time. So this is when we had 70 employees, and we were really fortunate. We had like a really good C-suite buy-in to what we were doing. So when we were creating dashboards, our CEO, James, would share that across the company, and it really encouraged everyone to look at what we were building. And even to this day, our CEO, our CFO, and Ollie, our CTO, are top 3 out of 5 users within Tableau. So really helped grow that data culture within Huel. Now this continued for over a year, and then we decided to move to Fivetran. The reason being was they offered a lot more connectors for what we needed. So in the marketing space and also other areas, they also had a good transformation layer, so we could really transform what we were building, push that into Tableau, and make even quicker data-driven decisions. It is very time-consuming moving from an ETL tool, but it was the right things for us to do in the long term. So we decided to make that short-term change for the long-term benefit. So towards the end of 2020 and the start of 2021, we brought in our first data analyst, who's Alex, and he really helped push Tableau and data analytics across the business. So working with the team leads, understanding their problems, and how we can serve them in a better way. We also brought Luke in, who's our data engineer, and he worked closely with DBT. So we had that transformation layer within Fivetran, but we decided to move towards DBT. So use Fivetran for extract and load, and then DBT for transformation. Reason being was because it had a lot more to offer for us, and Luke really pushed the boundaries on it. So breaking our tables into different staging, it meant for our tables would run from hours to minutes, meaning that we could serve the company in a much better way. And it also saved us money on a Snowflake side, so the warehouse wasn't constantly on running tables for hours. We're a lot more efficient in how we're doing our data engineering. And then about a year later, we decided to start working with Clean, who are a startup in the ELT space. So Fivetran offered a lot of connectors for us, for marketing, for our sales, but finance and ops were an area where we wanted to improve what we were serving. So with Clean, we began to bring in lots of financial, like smaller connectors. Being a small company, we could pivot at speed with them, build out these connectors. And Luke worked on automating our whole sales reconciliation process. So saving a lot of time around the business by using 2 ETL tools for different use cases. Now at this point, we've built a really good core. We've got lots of data coming in, a good transformation layer, and our analytics, everyone's got access through Tableau. We decided to find another best-in-class tool with DataRobot and start looking towards data science and machine learning. We wanted to use predictive churn and predictive LTV to see how we can make our customers more happy than we were, and also look at how we could do stock forecasting and save the business money. And then towards the end of the year and the start of this year, we brought in 2 more data analysts. So we brought in Raja and Emma. And when Emma joined, it meant that we could pivot more. So each analyst had an area of the business. And by doing so, we could work with them more, work on solving their biggest problems through dashboarding and analytics. Then we also brought in Gully, our data scientist, who kind of took a hold of what we were doing with DataRobot and take it to new areas, carry out more projects like product recommendation and personalization. And then more recently, in the last few months, we've brought in ThoughtSpot, which has really elevated our self-service, which I'll talk about more in a moment. But this is our current data stack. Our approach is to buy the best-in-class tools, let them focus on what they do best, and then that means we can focus on the big problems that we need to. It means we can be much more agile and keep a lean team that we do. So from the bottom up, we got extract and load, Fivetran and Clean, pushing that data into Snowflake, modeling and transforming within DBT, going back into Snowflake, and then going in 2 directions. We push data into DataRobot, where we carry out our predictive analytics, and then to the rest of the business through ThoughtSpot and Tableau. I think most of these partners are actually here today, so please go check them out. Mention my name so I can get my commission for today. That would be great. And going on to ThoughtSpot. So this is where we are with ThoughtSpot. I spoke to Ricky earlier this year at a conference, and when I think I had a Huel top on, and he's a Huel fan, so we started chatting away. He showed me ThoughtSpot, and initially I'm thinking we're very happy with the BI tool we have with Tableau. Everyone across the business is using it. And then he started to show me a marketing demo where I could really see how this self-search that he was talking about earlier comes into play and what it looks like in action. And instantly I'm thinking, one of the biggest problems we have at Huel as we grow as a business, the demand for data increases, and because we keep that lean team, we're getting a lot of requests from everyone across the business. So that means, some decisions are delayed, but with ThoughtSpot, I could see two clear areas where we could grow. So firstly, if everyone has access to ThoughtSpot, they can really dig into the data, answer questions for themselves. And for us as a data team, if we're not answering those requests as often, we can then focus working with those team leads on the bigger questions and moving the business forward. So this is like a KPI for us, like how can we reduce those data requests, improve our decision making, make it as quick as possible. And we've been rolling it out, so we've got 95 users across the business over the past few months. More recently, Emma and I rolled out to the performance marketing team, and within 5 minutes, our head of marketing, he built live boards instantly. So before he had requests of, can you build this dashboard out for us, or can you help us with this analysis? But instantly we notice he's there building the live boards himself. He's not coming back to us, and the conversation's changed completely. And now we're looking at how we can get more data into ThoughtSpot so him and his team can continue to build live boards. And it's not just his team as well, it's the other members of the, like country managers, for example. They would have to scour several dashboards within Tableau to find the answers they need, but now it's gone down to minutes with just searching on the data. And one thing I've noticed with ThoughtSpot as well that I didn't really expect was how it's improved data literacy across the organization. For everyone to search on the data, they need to understand what they're searching on. And to do this, ThoughtSpot has it really clearly laid out on the tables we're pushing from Snowflake into ThoughtSpot. So they understand why we have a customer table, why we have an orders table, why we have data set out in separate ways. Before that, in a dashboard, they can't see the back end, they can't see what's going on behind. So they're asking much smarter questions, and that's really helping the business as well. So just as a quick summary, what we've covered today. So start with the core, the data cloud, and for us that was Snowflake. That's where all your other tools can grow from. Invest in the best-in-class tools. This is the approach we've taken. Rather than buying one tool that does everything, we allow those tools to do what they're best at, and we can focus on the business problems. Every company is going to be different, so what works for us may not work for you. So really research, especially in the ETL space. There's many out there, they have many different connectors, whether you're in marketing or more financial focused. Have a look and see what's best for you. Our ELT approach is to use Fivetran and Clean for extract and load, and then we use dbt as a transformation layer. That works best for us, and I know our engineer would not turn back from that. And technology evolves, and you must too. Don't be afraid to plug things in and out of your modern data stack. And as the tech space grows, there's new tools coming out so often. It's what we found with ThoughtSpot, and we jumped on it. But most importantly, this all doesn't work unless you have a great team behind you. And we're really fortunate at Huel to have these four, and we've got a new TAS starting in the next few weeks. And they've really developed these tools to where we are today, really pushed it, stepped out of their comfort zone. Which is great for the business, but also great for them as well as they develop their careers working with the best-in-class tools. Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you very much, Jay. So to sort of bring that to life, I thought a product demonstration would really help. So I've got a demonstration, a very similar use case that Huel have done in terms of performance marketing for B2C. So bear with me just 2 seconds, and I'll just flip the screen and show you a quick product demonstration. Okay. So this is ThoughtSpot, and like I said, see this as the experience layer and all that stack that Jay went through. So we're live querying relational tables that are sitting inside Snowflake. So the demo I'm about to show you is B2C marketing, so direct-to-consumer sort of marketing demo, much like the use case that Huel have. So on my homepage, I can see insights that are trending. I can see things that are pushed to me. The idea for ThoughtSpot is the content that people push, share, and view isn't always built by an analyst. It's built by those end users, those lines of business users. So if I have a question of my data, just like if I got a question in my personal life, I can Google it. So in ThoughtSpot, I can go into search and I can start asking questions of my data. So if I want to know how my conversions of my particular campaigns are doing this month, and I want to see that broken down daily, it's very simple to do. So I can type in conversions. Let's say I want to see that by campaign content. So I can type in campaign content. So green means it's something in the data set that we can do maths operations on, minimum, maximum, average, sum, those types of things. Blue is an attribute that I can slice and dice by. This month is a out-of-the-box ThoughtSpot keyword. So we have 150 different natural language keywords, so I can do things like this month, last month, contains, in, those types of operations. So I can say campaigns this month, and daily as well is another one of our keywords. So off ThoughtSpot will go, it'll take those keywords that we've entered into search, it'll push that down to Snowflake. Snowflake will churn those results and bring back the visualization. It puts it on a best fit chart, so sometimes even an X and a Y axis to those lines of business users is a barrier to entry. Sometimes knowing what the terminology means on the data is a barrier to entry. So we're trying to break down all those objections and enable them to access the data really, really quickly. So say I want to just focus this down on a campaign or a channel that I want to focus down on. I don't have to know the data model. So I can type in social media, and you can see what ThoughtSpot does is it indexes all the data in your model. So rather than the user having to know that social media is a value in the channel field, they can just type it in. ThoughtSpot makes a suggestion, and I'm going to filter that down by social media as a channel. And now I can see that my my comedy and my kids conversions in those channels are much closer together. Now, if I want to keep this bit of analysis or start to build my own data story, this is typically a request that would go down to the analyst and say, can you build a dashboard for me? Now in ThoughtSpot, what I can do is I can create my own live board. So let's call this Big Data London is Cool. And I can start pinning this visualization to my own data story. So I can start crafting something for a meeting that I might have in a few moments' time, or something that I want to do every Monday. Now, not only do we make the simple queries simple, we make complex queries fairly simple as well. So say I want to have a look at it, again, I'm focusing conversions. I want to look at it for this year versus last year. I can do that as well. Versus last year. I want to look at it year to date. So again, I've got a year to date keyword. I just want to focus that down on. So now here, the suggestions that you're seeing on the screen is because it knows that I like to slice things down by social media. So it's just like Google, when you go in the morning, for me, if I type in B, it always auto-completes to BBC because that's what I like to do in the morning. It learns about the user's behavior to guide them down to the right part of the data. So I want social media, and I want it for kids and social. And I just want to break it down by the month of the year so I can use those suggestions to help me get down to the data really quickly. And now I've done a year-on-year comparison, right? So it's not, other BI tools obviously allow you to do this, right? But what we're doing is allowing a non-technical user to use very simple keywords to build the visualizations very, very quickly. And off I go, and I can pin that to my story as well. So we're not all just about search, right? Jay mentioned that teams out there will build live boards. So if I go onto my homepage, let's look at one of those top trending live boards. So for example, I've got this B2C marketing campaign by conversion, and this is something that an analyst has authored to the team, right? So you can have end user built live boards, you can have live boards built by authored content by authored people. But what I'm allowed to do in here is really explore this freely. So any visualization that I can click on, I can right click and drill down. So normally on a BI tool, you have to specify the drill down path, you have to build in the filters and build in the whys that you think that they need to go down. ThoughtSpot is relationally aware of the data, so it puts those boundaries of where you're allowed to drill. And you see the drill down list here is not in alphabetical order, it's in usage-based order. So it learns about where you like to drill, or where your business users like to drill on any given period in time, and it suggests the list going forward. So I can drill down here, for example, and see that age by gender. I can filter down here, look at the exact campaign names. I can drill further and further and further into the data, right down to SKU level details. The other really powerful feature in the live boards is this explore button. So here, this visualization isn't filtered down by anything. It's looking at all conversions over all time. So what I can type in here is I can say, well, show me this for the last, let's say, 14 weeks, 14 days, 14 months. I want to see this for the last 2 hours of the day. Whatever you want to type in, you can type it in here. So now you don't have a dashboard with loads of different filters, loads of different sliders, trying to second guess every question that the user might have. So I can filter this down for the last 14 weeks. Maybe I just want to see that coming in from Google. I can add new filters. I can add new date periods. And also, maybe I don't want to see the conversions by age group. I want to swap age group and focus it by gender. I can even swap out my metrics and attributes and dimensions to get to the insights that I need. So a new drill down path, typically a request to, how Jay was mentioning, a request down to the data team. New filters, request down to the data team. So if we can free up, those typical analyst times, so this self-service, it frees up the data team to do more strategic builds. So again, I can pin that to my data story, and I have that with me. Now, how this all works under the hood, it's not some black magic box that you don't have access to, and it really is a relational search engine. So what I have, for example, in my data tab, in that search that you saw, if I go to my tables, it's these 11 lists of tables that I have here. But my end user isn't concerned about what is underlying and how the relationships all join. We basically build a worksheet layer on top of that to hide the complexity, but also allow you to add your business taxonomy. So for example, campaign content, by different people in the business, they might call that genre, right? They might just call that content. So you can put your business taxonomy onto that data set. You can give it descriptions. You can guide the user so they can access that data more freely and more readily. Our head of design, Bob Baxley, who came from Apple, said he wanted to create an environment where you have fearless exploration. So the users can be comfortable in this walled garden of data that we've built. The data team can be comfortable that they're going to get the right insights, but you're not constricting them in terms of how they see those insights. So everyone is working off the same metrics, but you can slice and dice those metrics to your heart's content. Now, if I go into the utilities application, if you are a DBT user or a DBT customer, all this metadata around the tables, the models, the relationship, the joins, even their new metrics layer and the descriptions, if you're governing that and building that in the DBT layer, you can use our integration to pull all of that metadata in. So now you've got consistency between the BI tool and the metadata that's being held in DBT. So all about getting to search quicker and making sure that everyone who does access search is accessing that single source of truth and letting them go into any detail they'd like to go into. Okie doke, so I'll just switch back to my presentation if you bear with me 2 seconds and we'll sort of wrap things up. Okay, just to summarize the key takeaways from ThoughtSpot. And so we have a consumer grade UX. The whole focus of ThoughtSpot is targeted towards the business user. So everything that we do from a product perspective is really to enable that end business user with no predefined drill paths or no restrictions to the data. We have an AI and search guided AI engine that will guide users to the most relevant part of the data so they can stay data fluent and have a really nice search experience. We're built on an open platform, so APIs and microservices, and what that means 2 things. One is you can take ThoughtSpot and embed that into your business applications if you need to, but equally you can take data out of ThoughtSpot and push that to your business applications like G Sheets, Teams, and Slack. And lastly, we're cloud first. So we're a cloud organization, we're a SaaS company, and we work with the top cloud data platforms such as Snowflake in Huel's case, and also Databricks, Google BigQuery, Synapse, Redshift, and Starburst as well. So lastly, just sort of a takeaway, you can try ThoughtSpot for free. So seeing is believing. We've got a 30-day trial that you can spin up, get connected to your data as in the cloud data warehouse, and really encourage you to sign up and see it for yourselves. So really appreciate your time, and thank you for coming to our talk. Jay and I will be at booth 353, which is a ThoughtSpot booth. So if you want to grill me in any of the technicals or talk to Jay about more details about the implementation, we'd really welcome you at our booth.
Let's give our lovely speakers
Thank you very
a round
much.
of applause.